Hi everybody, this is Katie Hamilton, holistic nutritionist and health and transformation coach. This is part 2 of a 4-part series around autoimmune diagnosis. In my first talk, I shared with you about the true cause of autoimmune disease. And so if you haven't watched that video, I recommend hopping off this one and onto part 1, because that's going to give a lot of the foundation, and I'm continuing on from there. So in this discussion, I'm going to share with you about the 19 environmental and personal, so mental, emotional, and then dietary triggers that can progress your autoimmune symptoms. But because I did share in the other video, I'm going to get right into it. Essentially, it is triggering the virus, which is the cause of these symptoms, into the next stage, which worsens your symptoms and can create more illness and dis-ease in the body. So it's important to understand what these environmental and personal triggers are so that you can support yourself to either avoid them or just to become more aware and gain the knowledge of how to help your body to heal. And then in the second part of this chat, this discussion, I'm going to go deeper into your symptoms that you're experiencing or perhaps a loved one is experiencing. And again, knowledge is power. When we understand the true cause of the problem, then we can search an appropriate solution. And so I will be getting more into the solution in part probably 4, video 4. There's a lot of symptoms to share with you. There's a lot of different mystery illness and conditions out there that you may be, or a loved one may be going to the doctor for answers for, and you're not receiving answers. And perhaps you are receiving answers, but you've been told that your body is attacking itself, or perhaps your hormones have been blamed, or your genes. And these are never the root cause. And so if they are trying to support you with a solution from that knowledge or that information, unfortunately, you can be misled and probably put on pharmaceuticals or medication that again will just not support you at the root. So I am sharing this information because I know there's many people out there who are looking for answers for their health conditions, for their symptoms. I was one of them, and I shared in the part 1 discussion a little bit about my experience with health autoimmune diagnosis that was just simply inaccurate, and I went on a mission to find answers, and I did. And because of that, I've been able to help dozens and dozens of clients heal from things that they were told they would never heal. And even worse, they were told that it was their body creating it and attacking them. So I just want to make that very clear right from the beginning here. Your body, as autoimmune suggests, it's a hypothesis, not based on fact. Your body never attacks itself. You do not have faulty genes that have all of a sudden turned on an immune system that perceives your thyroid as a foreign invader and creates antibodies to attack it. The antibodies that are in your blood are searching for the virus itself and tagging them so that your immune system can send in killer cells and defend you from this foreign invader. And this has gone under the radar in the medical industry, and I have a lot of respect for the medical industry and what they are experts at. But when it comes to chronic illness and these nagging symptoms, they are not the experts, okay? And so we want to take back our power and take back our health and gain this knowledge so that we can heal at the root, because it is possible. It is absolutely possible to heal from this virus, to heal from the other conditions that create the symptoms. And in my experience and with my knowledge, personally healing my body and helping many others, it's been with nutrition and also mind, body, spirit, absolutely. So let's dive in. Let's dive into the triggers. The Epstein-Barr virus triggers that progress it from one stage to the next. There's 4 stages. And the first one is mold. So if you're working from home and there's mold in your home, or you're working from an office and you have consistent exposure to mold, this will suppress your immune system, and this will allow the virus to gain strength, and perhaps it could be the trigger that pushed it from stage 1, which is pretty benign stage. You might not feel a lot of symptoms and it might not be causing a lot of damage, into stage 2, which is the mononucleosis, or perhaps from mono stage into stage 3, which is when it starts to attack your thyroid. So cleaning up or having someone come through your home to check for mold, that could be very helpful if you are suffering from any illness or conditions or symptoms. Mercury-based fillings. So personally, this is what happened to me. When I was young, I had a lot of cavities and they filled my mouth with mercury. And that was the time in which my virus progressed from stage 1, where it's just incubating, and it moved into mono. And I got mono quite young. And when I looked back, I realized that that's when I had a lot of mercury fillings. So mercury happens to be one of the virus's favorite foods, next to eggs. I know, I used to eat eggs all the time. And so do a lot of North Americans. And so mercury feeds the virus. And now, interestingly enough, then along my health journey, I was informed or told that it's really important to get these mercury fillings removed. And I wish I had this information now. I did. I went ahead and got them removed from a safe dentist who had the technology to try to, remove the mercury in the safest way possible. Well, it happens that there's no amount of technology that can do that. And when the mercury moves from more of a stable form in your tooth to a gaseous form, very unstable, you ingest it, you inhale it, and it will feed the Epstein-Barr virus. So that could be the trigger that then pushes you into the next stage or worsens your symptoms. So if you are gonna get your fillings removed, I recommend one at a time. Unfortunately, I got 2 big ones done, and that was a big hit, and I noticed some health issues after that. So mercury in other forms. Mercury has been unfortunately, it's been passed down from generation to generation. It's been in our environment for hundreds of years. And one of the places that we find mercury is in the larger fish. So if you tend to eat fish, like swordfish or tuna, it can be filled with a lot of mercury, and this is enough to suppress your immune system and feed the virus. Zinc deficiency. So zinc is a necessary nutrient to strengthen your immune system. It actually weakens the virus so that your immune system can come in and kill the virus with ease. Now, zinc is depleted from the soil. Maybe not fully, but almost. And that's because of the amount of toxins, pesticides, and herbicides that farmers are using. The soil is depleted of many nutrients, including zinc, as well as the radiation that's still falling from the atmosphere from some of the nuclear disasters and explosions that have happened in the last 100 years. That is also depleting the zinc in our soil. So you may want to look into taking a high quality zinc supplement if you are dealing with a suppressed immune system and symptoms that just won't go away. This can actually really be an important part of your healing journey. B12 deficiency. So I'll have clients come to me and they'll say that, well, my B12 is normal and fine because the doctor said it was from a blood test. So interestingly enough, your doctor and these blood tests can't test for the B12 in your tissues and organs. And so though you might have a lot of B12 in your bloodstream, it doesn't necessarily mean you have enough in your organs and in your tissues. And that B12, again, supports your immune system. And if you're low, that can give an edge for the virus to gain hold and strengthen in numbers and do more damage. Now, in my upcoming nutrition reset, I've included specific foods that are high in B12 so that you will increase your amount of B12 and zinc. But if you feel like you are low, there's one company out there that creates zinc and B12, and it's called Vimergy. I have no connection to it. I don't sell supplements. Vimergy, and it is a really high quality supplement. And make sure when you look for supplements that they do not have citric acid or alcohol. It will negate the benefits of that supplement. And this specific B12 from Vimergy is a very highly bioavailable nutrient. Not all B12 is, not all supplements are made the same. Okay, so number 6. This is the 6th trigger that can progress the virus and worsen your symptoms. Pesticides, herbicides, and DDT exposure. So unless we are buying organic produce 100% of the time, we are being exposed to these things. And I understand finances and budget, but I do believe over time that the investment in organic and food that has not been sprayed with chemicals is worth it over time, because we end up spending money on our health. If we don't have our health, often we'll spend a lot of money to try to regain it. So this is preventative, and it's also potentially going to prevent you from progressing the virus into the next stage. When you have a lot of pesticides and herbicides in your system, they settle in your liver. And in stage 2 of Epstein-Barr, that's where the Epstein-Barr goes. It goes to your liver. Why? Because your liver is the biggest detoxification organ, and all of the chemicals and poisons essentially that you are exposed to, your liver is like a sponge, and it takes them so that your vital organs ideally do not become exposed to these heavy metals and toxins that oxidize and create mutation and damage. And so the Epstein-Barr follows them, and it goes to the liver. It creates a lot of damage when it's in your liver. It creates a sluggish liver, so the liver can't do the job that it's meant to do. And it builds its strength. Okay, so if you can ideally invest in organic produce, this would be a big support in your healing journey. Insecticides, so I know it's mosquito season and mosquitoes are really awful, and it's almost like I would rather take the poison and chemicals and spraying them versus being bitten by a mosquito. But if you do that every summer and you do that every day, you are building up those toxins in your system. And remember, it's an accumulation. So you might not just have one of these triggers, you might have a few of these triggers, and that's enough to progress your symptoms and worsen what you're experiencing. Now, on the mental emotional part, there are triggers that happen in our life because, our experience is not just physical in this world. And death in a family could be the thing that all of a sudden worsened your symptoms and threw you into the deep end in your own healing crisis. Every single emotion we have has a correlating hormone. There's not just one stress hormone. There's different concoctions for each 56, 58 different emotions that humans can feel, which I found fascinating when I discovered this. And so the emotions associated with death in the family, like loss, grief, sadness, loneliness, and we feel that over a period of time, the body is being flooded with certain hormones that are correlating to that emotion. And those hormones actually feed the virus. That virus feeds off of our more negative, if I can say that, negative emotions. So it's important that when we are dealing with emotional stress, that we're gaining the support that we need, and we're bringing in and balancing and hopefully bringing in some joy and peace. And this is why a big part of what I do is not just the nutrition, but also teaching the mindfulness and meditation and the movement practices and the spiritual practices that help to center us and to bring us back into our heart space. Because absolutely disease is not just created on the physical level. It's very much also created on the mental, emotional level as well. So another trigger is a broken heart or betrayal. And if you've ever experienced either of these things, my heart goes out to you. I know being human and being in this time-space reality can expose us to a lot of different things, including a broken heart or betrayal. And these go really deep. These go soul deep, and they go into the heart, and they absolutely impact the organs in the body. Our body is holding our emotions. Our body is a vessel for our emotional state. And so it creates a chemical response to our emotions. And again, it's unfortunate, but the Epstein-Barr virus knows that these emotions suppress our immune system and they feed the virus itself. And so they thrive when we're not doing so well. I don't like that part. I don't. Another trigger is taking care of a loved one who's sick. And when we have that experience, we can take on their heaviness, we can take on what they're going through, and it can be quite a drain on our system. So this is another potential trigger that can push you into further dis-ease or worsen your conditions. Now, I feel like this is all doom and gloom, but I want you to know that there is always support, there is always antidotes, there's always things you can do to balance these triggers and to balance the challenges that you're up against in your life, okay? So this isn't meant to be doom and gloom. This is meant to provide you with the information so that you can be more empowered to make better choices for yourself. Prescription medications. This is interesting. So prescription medications are the thing that if you go to your doctor with these symptoms and they decide to diagnose you with autoimmune disease, the next thing they'll say to you is, so let's talk about medication. And the medication specifically for the thyroid, so if you go and you're diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis or Graves' disease, which are under the umbrella in the medical industry as autoimmune, they will prescribe you with a medication. This medication will not solve at the root. It will not heal your body. That medication will go right into your liver, and those toxins in the pharmaceuticals will feed the virus. The next trigger is overprescribed medications. Years ago, when I started my career in health and wellness, I went to McMaster for kinesiology, and I was one of the lead volunteers at the cardiac rehab center. And a lot of these patients and these clients, after a heart attack, would come to us and they wanted to regain health, but a lot of them were on a cocktail of medications. And even in I have way more knowledge now about health and wellness, but even in my knowledge then, and my intuition said, this can't solve the problem. There must be more. There's gotta be like lifestyle stuff that we can support these people with. So a lot of people I was seeing were on cocktails of medications. I mean, they would just list their medication. I was like, wow, I can't imagine how hard that must be on the body to process all of those drugs. And that is enough to also worsen your symptoms. So the very thing that they're trying to support you with can actually worsen your condition, unfortunately. Hormone changes. Here's an interesting one. Hormones have been blamed by the medical industry and the health industry for much of the problems and mystery illness that is out there. Hormones are like the innocent bystander at the scene of a crime. They did not cause the crime. They did not do the damage, but they are a part of it. Okay, so they don't cause it, but they might contribute in this. So let me explain to you. So when you're going through puberty, when you get pregnant, when you give birth, your body produces a large amount of reproductive hormones. Your reproductive hormones have steroids, they're steroid compounds, okay? And these steroid compounds actually feed the virus. The virus, when they eat our hormones, eliminates something that is very toxic to the body, and that is what's doing the damage. So you see, it's not the hormone itself, it's not your reproductive hormones that is going and doing the damage in your body. Okay, so for example, cystic acne. Why do many people experience cystic acne around puberty? puberty, the body is going through a massive change in their hormones. And so when those hormones are being flooded through the body, plus around puberty, we tend to be eating perhaps more chips and candies and chocolate and soda and hot dogs, and so there could be a nutritional deficiency. The virus takes hold, consumes these toxins, not toxins, your reproductive hormones are not toxins, but the food from those processed foods is toxic. And when it eats the hormones, eats the food, it actually eliminates something even more toxic. And that's called a dermatoxin or a neurotoxin. And those are the things that are going and creating more damage. The dermatoxin moves through your lymphatic system, and it actually damages your skin, and it creates cystic acne or blemishes around when you get your period. Okay, and something that's really unfortunate and just crushes my heart is a lot of women don't realize they have this virus. And when they give birth, the influx of hormones to try to support the body to go through such a painful and wild experience, the Epstein-Barr virus reads that the immune system is low, it eats up all of these hormones, and it becomes incredibly strong. And it eliminates something called a neurotoxin, which goes into the brain, it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it disrupts the neurotransmitters. It is a huge contributor and cause of postpartum depression. And so there's so many women out there that are suffering from depression and massive fatigue and symptoms that are being caused by a virus, but are going under the radar of the medical society, so they don't understand they could use nutrition support and heal their body and be able to raise their children with energy. And so that's a really hard one to watch. Women with new children who just want to be there for the excitement but can barely get off the couch because they are absolutely exhausted, and they are diagnosed with postpartum depression or who knows what, but they're not given the actual root cause of what they're experiencing, so they don't realize that there's a way out and that they could get support through nutrition to heal. Okay, we are almost at 19. 14, recreational drug abuse. Drugs, they have toxins on them. The toxins feed the Epstein-Barr virus, and then the Epstein-Barr virus grows. Don't need to say much more about that one. Okay, financial strain, and especially with COVID and all these small businesses, like I can't even imagine the stress level. And, we're looking at wearing masks and social distancing to increase our immune system, but are we looking at supporting humanity with the stress that is happening right now? Because that's actually what's making people more susceptible to any virus, is the suppression of their immune system because of the rise of stress. And as you become educated by listening to me, you're knowing, we've heard that stress kills, but why? Because those hormones, they sear the liver. They create a very challenging environment for the liver. So stress hormones actually do directly impact us, but they also feed the virus, and the virus creates more of the symptoms. And then when we have financial strain, we're also dealing with shame, self-image issues, self-worth issues. This can go really deep. So that could be a trigger for someone's disease. Physical injuries. I have a personal experience with this one. I injured my hamstring when I was running a half marathon. I pulled it, and I injured my shoulder doing too many chaturangas in yoga with improper form. This is about 12 years ago. And so I had Epstein-Barr virus in my body, and I didn't realize I did. And what happens when you have a physical injury? There's nerve damage, and the nerves actually are dangling for a period of time, sending signals that the Epstein-Barr virus picks up. And it goes and it attaches on to the nerve ending, and it actually just holds on, and it continually sends pain signals, and it's like, why am I not healing? Well, you've got viruses attached to the nerve endings, creating inflammation, chronic inflammation, something that was an acute injury that could have healed in days, weeks, months. For me, 10 years. 10 years of chronic pain. And I'm talking sitting, sleeping, walking. I was a fitness instructor. I started my journey being like in fitness, in the health industry, and like I could barely teach, I could barely walk. I had to stop doing the things that made me feel good. And little did I know, when I started to understand I had a virus in me and started to heal with nutrition, all of a sudden my injuries, as well as working with a Pilates instructor to regain the strength that I lost and move back into alignment, that was huge. But the nutrition part, and decreasing my inflammation and getting the number of viruses in my body, that viral load down, okay? And that actually is what helped to heal my acute injuries. So there's many personal trainers and people in the health industry that don't realize that if you have a client who is dealing with a physical injury, that you can actually support your client with nutrition to help heal. And the inflammation is being caused by the damage from that virus that is holding on to those nerve endings. Okay, so the next one is professional carpet cleaning. Probably didn't expect that. Yes, the amount of toxins in professional carpet cleaners, the solvents that are in the cleaning, chemical solution that they use, is extremely toxic. And so if you have a great carpet and you want to go get it cleaned, I highly recommend going and finding a green cleaner that does not use these highly toxic substances. You're going to bring that carpet home and it will just keep off-gassing into your environment, and that's enough to challenge your liver and feed the virus these toxins, okay? And I also highly recommend, carpets themselves are quite toxic, so you can look into a more eco-friendly carpet if you're looking to redecorate or furnish a home and you are dealing with any of these symptoms, any symptoms at all. I highly recommend going green, and it's also preventative. You don't have to wait till you're sick to choose to avoid some of these environmental triggers that I'm speaking of. Fresh paint. This could be a trigger just by, nice fresh coat of paint in your home, and the off-gassing of that is enough to trigger and suppress your immune system and trigger Epstein-Barr into the next stage, okay? And the last one is insomnia. Consistent lack of sleep suppresses your immune system and absolutely can progress disease in the body. Whew, all right, how are we doing? There's a few of you watching here live, and I just, this is a lot to digest. This is a lot to take in. Thanks for staying on the ride with me. I want to get into the symptoms, but I just want to say that, we do our best. I know all of us are doing our best. And so I'm coming on to share with you information that will help you to make even better choices for you, your loved ones. I know we all want to help each other to be as healthy as possible. So this information could very well help you or someone you know. And if you are dealing with an ailment or a disease or a condition, my heart goes out to you. I suffered for 10 years from severe chronic disease, and I had a very long list. And I did find the answers, and I did heal myself. And I'm here to share with you that there is a way out, okay? So if you're listening and you are currently experiencing some just debilitating disease or nagging symptom, I want to let you know that there are answers. So this video is more about talking about the problem, okay? And we'll get more into the solution, problem solving in video 4. But I am offering a nutrition reset program at a really good price, because I want this information to get out to as many people as possible. It's 14 days. I just finished another one, and all 20 participants were blown away by the results just in 14 days. So it is designed to support you to heal at the root. And the program has 4 levels, and each time you do it, you progress and learn new habits and just become your own health expert, okay? And take that power back into your hands and understand that the doctors don't have all the answers. And again, I have a lot of respect for doctors and their intention to help us heal, but they are not experts at chronic illness. They just aren't. Okay, so let's get into the symptoms. So I want to get into explaining your symptoms so you can understand what is happening in my body. You know, one thing that happens when we have issues, and I hear this from clients like, oh, my body's turning on me, my body's betraying me, just this disconnect and this dislike of their body. And one thing I want to say is like, please send your body love. Please send your body gratitude. Your body is doing everything it can every moment of the day to keep you as healthy as possible. But it is up against more than it has ever been. As long as humans have been alive, we have more poisons, more toxins, more viral explosion, more bacteria that is harmful to us and that has progressed and mutating into really aggressive strains of bacteria and viruses that are creating the most debilitating diseases of our time. It's not a mystery. It's not a mystery, and we can solve this problem with the right knowledge. So we're going to start with hypothyroid. Catherine, I'm going to get to your comment at the end. I'm going to move through these and then I will respond to you. And thanks for being here. Hypothyroid, if you've been given a diagnosis of hypothyroid, essentially you're in an early stage of Epstein-Barr attacking your thyroid. And so you have a certain strain that is in your thyroid that is causing your thyroid to decrease the amount of T3, T4 thyroid hormones. Okay, that's what hypothyroid is. And now there's far too many symptoms that the medical industry has attributed to hypothyroid. The ones that actually are caused by hypothyroid are body temperature fluctuations, fatigue, listlessness, and dry skin. And many of the other ones that have been attributed to hypothyroid are not actually specifically because your thyroid hormones have been lowered, okay? They're for other reasons that we're gonna get into. Okay, so, or the next one, the next symptom or condition is hyperthyroid or Graves' disease. And this is where you have a certain Epstein-Barr strain, okay, because there's 60 different strains out there. And you have this strain that goes into your thyroid and increases thyroid tissue and increases thyroid hormone production. They will put you on medication to try to balance this out. That medication will not solve the root problem. Both conditions are creating inflammation in the thyroid, okay? And this specific, so hyperthyroid can create conditions or symptoms such as bulging eyes, enlarged thyroid, swelling in the throat, a bit of fatigue, and some temperature fluctuations. And now, though this is a little less common, it is still possible for those out there who have been diagnosed with this. I want to just mention it. You might have hyperthyroid and hypothyroid at the same time, and that would really stump the doctors if they don't understand the root cause, and probably stump you. And the reason is that you have both strains. You can have multiple strains of this virus. You have one strain that's creating, encouraging part of the thyroid to produce more, and then another strain that's attacking another part of the thyroid that's decreasing. Okay, so you can have both, and both will inflame. And so that's why you can go through your life having all the symptoms of hyper and hypo, and all of a sudden, at one time in your life, you have more symptoms that are hyper and other symptoms that are hypo, okay? And you can kind of fluctuate between the two. Healing it is going to require the same thing, okay? So that's the good news. Perhaps you've been given a diagnosis or you know someone with a condition, and the majority of humanity who have been given this diagnosis is women, and we're only going to see more and more and more of this label being diagnosed or being given to women for their symptoms, and that's Hashimoto's thyroiditis, or an inflamed or an enlarged thyroid. So, when Epstein-Barr virus targets your thyroid in stage 3, it creates inflammation and damage, okay? And Hashimoto's thyroiditis can feel I know when I first heard this term, I was like, whoa, that just sounds intense. And then it's under an umbrella called autoimmune. I was like, okay, this is just like scary. This is scary. Let's break down Hashimoto's thyroiditis so we don't have to be so overwhelmed or scared by that term. Hashimoto's was the doctor who first discovered inflamed enlarged thyroid in his clients. Hashimoto. Thyroiditis means inflammation of the thyroid. Hopefully it's a little less scary now, okay? And what's happening is that you have invasion of the thyroid and you have injury because these drilling type virus cells goes in and drills and it's creating damage to your thyroid. Your immune system is coming in to try to find that virus and attack it. Your immune system is not sending antibodies into your thyroid to attack your thyroid. Your body never turns on itself, and we do not have millions and millions and millions of humans in the last 50 years whose bodies all of a sudden got triggered into an immune issue where their body starts to attack itself. That just doesn't happen. Our body is intelligent. It's made of divinity. Okay, divine substance, Mother Earth. It is always on our side, and it is so important to know that. Now, okay, so I want to then go into thyroid nodules, cysts, and tumors. Okay. Oh, and by the way, so Hashimoto's thyroiditis is essentially a progression of hypothyroid. Okay, so it's going to decrease the amount of thyroid hormones, and it just means it's a further along damage thyroid from the Epstein-Barr virus. Okay, and there is a way out of that. There's things we can do to heal the body and heal the damage. So if you've been diagnosed with thyroid nodules, cysts, or tumors, this could also be very overwhelming, especially if you are not empowered with the correct information. That's my dog. Little Bowie, David Bowie, likes to bark a lot. So if you've been diagnosed with one of these, it can be very unsettling, okay? And know that a nodule, a cyst, and a tumor is actually a sign that your immune system is working for you, okay? Despite what you've been told. When your immune system cannot get a hold of the virus, when your immune system cannot kill the virus, it goes to plan B. Plan B is to create a calcium prison to try to imprison the virus and stop it from expanding and causing more damage to your tissues, okay? And the calcium prism, so the first stage of a calcium prism is a nodule. Now, unfortunately, the virus can create a home in this nodule, and if you have a more aggressive strain, it can turn into a cyst. And it starts to actually just strengthen its number and just continue to feed off your thyroid, unfortunately. And if you have if one of the most aggressive strains of Epstein-Barr virus, it will create a tumor, and that tumor can be cancerous because Epstein-Barr virus is responsible for many of the cancers that we are experiencing in our body, including thyroid cancer. So again, we want to heal with food. We want to review the triggers and make sure that we are supporting our body and decreasing the amount of triggers that our body and our mind and hearts are exposed to try to keep us as healthy as possible. Okay. One more thing I wanted to mention about the nodule, the cysts, and the tumors that is really fascinating is that the calcium has to come from somewhere. And so if you are low in calcium, you just don't have a diet that is high in the calcium that your body actually wants, and I'll explain what that means, then it goes to your bones to pull the calcium out of your bones. And this is why we see osteoporosis happen around the same time as a thyroid diagnosis. Is the thyroid causing the problem? No, but the medical industry has assumed so. The medical industry will say that osteoporosis or osteopenia, which is like the first stage of osteoporosis, is caused by your thyroid issue or immune system issue, okay? And so whether it's Graves or Hashimoto's, you very well could be told, go on this medication and it will help stop your osteoporosis from furthering. That's not the case. It won't stop it. And this is the reason, because it's not your low thyroid issues that cause a decrease in your bone mass. It's the fact that your body, your immune system, is using the calcium to try to boost its strength and fight a virus. So what would be the antidote? Eat more foods high in calcium. And I'm sure you've heard from many sources that dairy is high in calcium. And yes, it is. But it is high in a calcium that is actually toxic to your body and not usable. The calcium from dairy is not the calcium that your body wants to use. The calcium from fruits and vegetables is a different calcium molecular structure than the calcium from dairy. And the calcium from dairy is quite toxic, and especially if you're dealing with any breast issues or breast cancer or swollen breast tissue, the calcium will settle there and it will actually cause a lot of damage. And it will do so in most of your tissues that it enters. So that's a really important note, because we've all been told eat your dairy, and you're a good citizen if you eat your dairy, because that's how you're going to get your calcium, and it's not true. That is to benefit the industry, not your body. Okay. And again, the 14-day nutrition reset, you're going to learn all about the foods that help to increase the nutrients that you need, because a lot of what I see in clients is that they not only have a virus, but they have nutritional deficiencies because their diet, they have not been eating enough fruits and vegetables at every meal over a lifetime. Okay, so we're going to change, well, this all has sort of a thread of thyroid today, but metabolism problems. Okay, so metabolism problems have also been associated with the thyroid. They've been also associated with eating too much food, or not exercising enough, or blaming your genes. And I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of the challenges that you might be experiencing, like hunger, just, constant hunger, or perhaps mystery weight gain. Okay, mystery weight gain has been under the umbrella of metabolism, and let's get into this term metabolism. Metabolism is a broad term that does not give us answers, and it's used all the time, especially in the industry I've been in, starting with fitness 20 years ago. And it's just metabolism, blame it on the metabolism. All metabolism, the term means, is that at one point, a doctor discovered that you're a living organism and you turn food into energy. That is what it means. Your metabolism, the fact that you can turn food into energy, is not responsible for mystery weight gain. It's not responsible for constant hunger, or why some people are hungrier than others. That is not the root cause. Okay, so let's get into the root cause. All right, I need some water. Lots to share here. Okay, so mystery weight gain. This is a common trouble that lead a lot of people into frustration. They try diet after diet, they exercise themselves crazy, and they still don't lose the weight. And they go to their doctor and they're told, well, one of 5 things. It's old age. It's your slow metabolism. It's your genes. Sorry, you've been given faulty genes. It's menopause. It's an underactive thyroid. All of these are not the cause, the true cause of your mystery weight gain. Whoa, right? Because this is collective consensus reality. This is what we believe. And if we go down those routes, we're not going to be led to the answers, which is why so many people continue to gain weight and can't shed it and then just say, okay, it is the way it's going to be. It doesn't have to be this way. So let's dive into what's happening. So when you have Epstein-Barr virus, in second stage, it goes into your liver, and it can live in your liver for years. And when it's in your liver, it is causing a lot of damage. It's creating a sluggish liver, a liver that can no longer work at 100%, 90%, sometimes even 60%. So sluggish, it cannot detoxify. By the way, your liver is responsible for detoxifying your body. It cannot process the toxins, the eggs, the dairy, the wheat, the processed sugar, the alcohol, all of the things that it's exposed to. And what happens is that because it can't, process them and eliminate them from your body, they get stored as fat. They get stored as fat. And so if you came into this life with Epstein-Barr virus, and if you came into this life with a liver, because not all livers start the same, already burdened because of the generations in your family that have passed down toxins, and perhaps your parents weren't eating that healthy when they created you, all of that went into your body, and you started this life with a weakened, sluggish liver, you could have weight gain very young. It might not happen during the time of, menopause and be blamed on menopause. It might have happened much earlier in your life. And so your weight gain is essentially, at the root of it, is an unhappy, sluggish liver dumping toxins into the blood, and they're being stored as fat. Why are they stored as fat? Because that's the safest place to keep them so that they don't harm the rest of your body. That's your body doing you a favor, believe it or not. And so how do you lose that weight? We clean up the liver. We don't go on diets. We especially don't go on paleo or keto diets, because those diets are high in fat and protein. And the other thing your liver is responsible for is processing fat and protein. And if your liver has a lot of fat and protein every day to process because you're on these diets that you're told are going to help you heal and lose weight, you're not. You're simply not going to. Okay, and the only reason that people do when they start these diets is because they're cutting out processed sugar. But when you cut out clean, critical carbohydrates from fruit and you decrease your fruit intake, you're decreasing your ability to heal and cleanse your liver. Your liver thrives on fruit. So this is the cause of that mystery weight gain. And so when I support my clients with healing their liver, detoxifying their liver safely with protocols and certain foods that go in and pull out heavy metals that will never leave your body unless you have certain foods move into your body to pull them out, and you don't know about those foods, you can just continue to build up this toxic load in your liver and continue to put weight on no matter how much you exercise, no matter how many times you go for a run or lift weights, and no matter how much you starve yourself because you've heard that you should decrease the calories you're eating. It's not about calories in and out. It's not about your metabolism. It is about the quality of nutrients that is going into your body. And when you decrease the food that lacks nutrients, and you increase the food that has a lot of nutrients and that is good for your body, that's when we start to help ourselves heal and lose that excess weight. All right, so love all this information. Okay. The other challenge here is that when we gain weight, we also gain fluid retention. So if say you put on 40 pounds, 60% of that could actually be fat mass, and the rest of that could be fluid retention. So you start to experience puffiness, swollen face, puffy arms, puffy body. You just notice, I just feel inflamed, swollen, puffy, these sort of terms. This is a symptom of a burdened liver. So the next problem that happens is like a domino effect, is that these toxins go and they're spilling into your lymphatic system. Now your lymphatic system is the secondary filtration system in your body. It was never meant to detox the macro toxins in your body, only the nanoparticles. And so those macro toxins are being dumped into your lymphatic system, and they're clogging ducts and clogging the lymph vessels. And what we have is a backup of lymphatic fluid, and that's when we start to see inflammation, or what we call inflammation is a swollen edema, lymph fluid that is creating this experience of feeling puffy. Okay, and that's another contribution to weight gain. That puts that puts weight on the body, and that also expands the waistline. It doesn't make us feel so good. So when we clean up the liver, we're supporting the lymphatic system. That all can reverse, okay, with the right food. The next part to metabolism, what has been blamed on metabolism, like, oh, I have a really high metabolism, I need to eat a lot, or you experience constant hunger, okay? And I'm not discounting, of course, if we exercise a lot and we're moving, yes, we need more nutrients, we need more glucose, but that's not what I'm talking about. This feeling of constant hunger, like no matter what you eat, you feel hungry. There's something happening in your body, and this is what's going on. Two places that are very important to your body for energy storage is your liver and your brain. And your liver and your brain absolutely need a certain amount of glucose storage to feel like they can do their job and to feel safe. So in times of famine, or even a couple of hours without feeding yourself, where do you get energy from? Stored glucose reserves in your liver or in your brain. Now, when those storages decrease and are deficient because of Epstein-Barr virus that is in your liver eating up your storage and also causing your liver to use glucose and burn through it at an alarming rate. The same with your brain. The central nervous system is under attack from this virus and it burns through glucose at an alarming rate. You have to eat more sugar from fruit. Sugar is not a bad word. Glucose is not a bad word. Every cell thrives on it, but where you get it from is important. Your clean, critical carbohydrates need to come from fruit and vegetables. That's where you're going to get the cleanest source of glucose or sugar. Sugar from candy, chocolate, cookies, white sugar, any processed sugar, not so good. Dried fruit, maple syrup, raw honey, fruit, amazing. And when you're constantly hungry, it's because you're probably eating a diet too high in fat, too high in protein, and not enough fruit. You gotta get that increase, you gotta get more into you, okay? And that's gonna help curb your constant hunger. Your body is sending signals to you that you're misinterpreting as like, oh, I just need more, I need a bigger steak, I need more fish. No, your body is begging for you to eat more sugar so it can boost up its glucose reserves. Fascinating, right? I love this information. I find it so empowering. Okay, the next one is mystery hair thinning and hair loss. And for those who have experienced this, you're probably gonna wanna understand what's going on in your body. Hair thinning is a huge part of our hair can be a huge part of our self-image. And so if we start to feel clumps of it, falling off after a shower, or for men who begin to bald, this can actually really be quite stressful for us. Okay. So hair thinning and hair loss are symptoms of Epstein-Barr damage in the body. And the root cause is not hypothyroid. This is also interesting. This has been blamed on your thyroid issues. Your thyroid issues actually have nothing to do with it. So there's a deeper story going on here. It's not that they have nothing to do with it, they're not the direct cause. When your thyroid has been under attack and cannot produce the necessary hormones that your body requires, your adrenals, your body's so incredible. It works so well together. Your adrenals kick in and they say, it's okay, I got it. I'm gonna create a concoction that's almost identical to you that will do the job. And so your adrenals starts to pump out more, like look-alike hormones, but they're made of a compound that stresses the body. So unfortunately, so when your thyroid hormones decrease, your adrenaline or your cortisol or your adrenal hormones increase, and it's these hormones that are actually contributing to hair loss and hair thinning. So how do you reverse that? Heal the thyroid with food, heal the liver with nutrition protocols, and then your adrenaline and your adrenals can back off. They don't have to work so hard, and your hair can return. And the next one I'm going to talk about is change in hair texture. So this was amazing. So after 14 days, my last reset, nutrition reset, I coached. One of the women, they all shared in a live Zoom their, the changes that they saw from changing their diet. And in 14 days, a woman who was in her, I think she's in her 60s, maybe late 60s, she's like, I actually see my hair is thickening and it's shinier and it's not as coarse and it's way healthier, and so are my nails. And I was like, that's incredible. 14 days of shifting her diet. And because the cleanse understands the root cause of what most people are going through, it's going to support you. So not all nutrition cleanses will support you if they don't understand what's happening. And this really excited me. So, amongst many of the other benefits. And so change in hair texture has a different root cause. So it's not the increase in stress hormones. Change in hair texture is actually from the Epstein-Barr virus itself. When the virus eats a lot of the mercury, the dairy, the eggs, loves eggs, the wheat, and the processed foods in your body, and all the other chemicals in your body, it eliminates something called a dermatoxin. And the dermatoxin travels to the scalp. It travels all through the body, but when it travels to the scalp, it damages hair follicles, and it actually creates a sort of dull, brittle experience in your hair from the Epstein-Barr virus. As you can see, this virus, this is a nuisance. It is causing so many symptoms in people, and so many symptoms that people go to the doctor for, and the doctors then umbrella it under terms that just aren't correct. And then how do you heal if you don't really understand the cause? Okay, so we're getting to the end here. Brain fog and difficulty concentrating. This is something I suffered with huge when I was at the height of my disease, and the height of Epstein-Barr taking over my body. Brain fog and difficulty concentrating. If you need to produce 10 hours a day of work, if you need to be on for your children, if you need to live this life and enjoy it, you do not want to be suffering from brain fog and difficulty concentrating. And this is caused by the Epstein-Barr virus doing the same thing I just said, eating those heavy metals, mercury, dairy, and pooping out. So it's a certain strain that poops out or eliminates a neurotoxin. And the neurotoxin, it short circuits your neurotransmitters in your brain. It crosses your blood-brain barrier, and it starts to cause damage in your brain. And this is the beginning. This would be like the beginning of memory loss, okay? And I've seen for myself, nutrition support me big time in cleaning up brain fog and increasing my concentration. And the other tip I would give is eating fruits and vegetables every 2 hours. Don't let your body go without nutrients, because you can really feel low energy in the brain. The brain thrives on glucose. So keep yourself fueled, and let's heal from the virus. Unfortunately, they're misdiagnosed as ADHD, leaky gut syndrome, parasitical infection, Lyme disease, or thyroid disorder. And none of those are the root cause, but you might have been given a label or a diagnosis of that if you came forward with one of these symptoms. Well, specifically the brain fog, difficulty concentrating, but quite frankly, you could come to the doctor with any of these symptoms I'm talking about and being given a misdiagnosis or a label that is simply not accurate. And now memory loss is the progression of brain fog. So essentially, when mercury crosses the blood-brain barrier and creates a soupy mess of oxidation, rivers of oxidized mercury run through the brain. Depending on what part of the brain it's affecting, it will create memory loss. It could create mood disorders. It can create a depression, anxiety, and then coupled with the Epstein-Barr virus that follows and eats the mercury and then poops out something more toxic, we have a problem. And so the brain is not exempt from this virus. okay? Even though the body does everything it can to try to prevent toxins from crossing the blood-brain barrier, they still can. And I want to leave you with a tip for that: wild blueberries. Wild blueberries will cross the blood-brain barrier. It will pull out the hard to reach heavy metals from your brain, and it will actually also start to heal the damage from these toxins and virus. So wild blueberries is something I put in my shake, I put in my fruit bowls. I like to eat at least 3 to 4 to 5 times a week. And at the height of healing myself and my clients, it's part of a concoction that is a heavy metal detox, that shake that actually works synergistically, these 5 foods, to pull these toxins out of your body. Okay, that was a lot of information. I thank you for watching and for taking this information in and spreading this knowledge. As you gain this knowledge and information, spreading this knowledge to friends or family, sharing this video. I'm here to educate and support and help get this information that changed my life and has changed so many people's lives that have come in contact with the true underlying causes of what they're experiencing. Know that your body is always, always, always working in your best interest, and its symptoms are simply a messenger telling you that something is wrong. It needs help. And when you can give the right help to your body, you can heal. That's what I want to leave you with. This is part 2 of a 4-part series. The next part, I'm going to talk a little bit about thyroid medication and what you can do if you've been put on it. And I'm going to get into more symptoms. I have a list of so many symptoms that clients have come to me with and that people are experiencing, and I want to give you the education, the knowledge, and the power of understanding what's causing them. And then I will start to talk about how to solve for this problem, okay? So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, Katie Laura Hamilton @gmail.com, Katie. And I am here if you have questions or you would like support. I support people one-on-one, and I support people through my different programs. And my 14-day nutrition reset is the program that's coming up in August. And it's like the entry-level program. You gain so much information and knowledge, and part of that program, actually, you have a one-on-one with me. So you can zero in on your own individual needs. All right, I wish you a wonderful Tuesday evening. Enjoy this beautiful weather, and I will see you next week.